Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. I don't know. What do all you think? Hare Krishna. All glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Garanga. Can you pass the book, please? Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Status Quo, Chapter 31, The Movements of the Living Entities, Text 43. Dehana jiva bhutena Lokalokam anuvrajan Bunjana eva karmani Karotya viratam puman Dehana jiva bhutena Lokalokam anuvrajan Bhujane eva karmani Karotya viratam puman. Please chant. Dehena, on account of the body. Jiva bhutena, possessed by the living entity. Lokat, from one planet. Lokam, to another planet. Anuvrajan, wandering. Bunjanaha, enjoying. Eva, so. Karmani, fruit of activities. Kuroti, he does. Aviratam, incessantly. Puman, the living entity. Translation. Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in fruitive activities and enjoys the result incessantly. Purport. When the living entity is engaged in the material body, he is called Jiva Bhuta. And when he is free from the material body, he is called Brahmabhuta. By changing his material body birth after birth, he travels not only in the different species of life, but also from one planet to another. Lord Chaitanya says that the living entities bound up by fruitive activities are wandering in this way throughout the whole universe. And if by some chance or by pious activities they get in touch with the bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna, then they get the seed of devotional service. After getting the seed, if one sows it within his heart and pours water in it by hearing and chanting, the seed grows into a big plant, and there are fruits and flowers which a living entity can enjoy, even in this material world. That is called the Brahmabhuta stage. In his designated condition, a living entity is called materialistic, and upon being freed from all designations, when he is fully Krishna conscious, engaged in devotional service, he is called liberated. Unless one gets the opportunity to associate with the bona fide spiritual master by the grace of the Lord, there is no possibility of one's liberation from the cycle of birth and death in the different species of life and through the different grades of planets. Om Ganativarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakashulam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kadirivachalam Pangam Langate Giriam Yakripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinitariram Vansha Kapadribisha Kripa Sandhu Bevacha Patita Nam Parvanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can I read the translation again? Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in fruitive activities and enjoys the result incessantly. Alright, so we have now moved beyond, or we've finished the section of the women and the men, which we've been discussing for the last week. So we're on somewhat of a new topic. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he is quoting, though not, he's paraphrasing a verse from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that verse is Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. This is a Bengali verse in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and explaining how the conditioned soul becomes free from illusion, and how the soul gets the mercy of Krishna, the mercy of Guru, and goes back to Godhead and develops love of Krishna. So that's what he's paraphrasing in the purport. So I thought I would read that verse and purport, because it's nice to hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. So Brahmana Brahmate Kon Bhagavan Jeev. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who's very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with the bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Purport. When we speak of Brahmanda, we refer to the whole universe, or to the cluster of many millions of universes. In all the universes there are innumerable planets, and there are innumerable living entities upon those planets, in the air, on the land, and in the water. There are millions and trillions of living entities everywhere, and they are engaged by Maya in suffering and enjoying the results of their fruitive activity, life after life. This is the position of the materially conditioned living entities. Out of many of these living entities, one who is actually fortunate, Bhagavan, comes in contact with the bona fide spiritual master by Krishna's mercy. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and if one desires something, Krishna fulfills one's desire. So you gotta be careful. We have to be careful what we desire, because Krishna fulfills them. If the living entity by chance or fortune comes in contact with the Krishna conscious movement and wishes to associate with that movement, Krishna, who is situated in everyone's heart, gives him the chance to meet a bona fide spiritual master. This is called Guru Krishna Prasad. Krishna is prepared to bestow his mercy upon all living entities, and as soon as a living entity desires the Lord's mercy, the Lord immediately gives him an opportunity to meet a bona fide spiritual master. Such a fortunate person is fortified by both Krishna and the spiritual master. He is helped from within by Krishna and from without by the spiritual master. Both are prepared to help the sincere living being become free from material bondage. How one can become this fortunate can be seen in the life of Srila Narada Muni. In his previous life, he was born of a maidservant. Although he was not born into a prestigious position, his mother was fortunately engaged in rendering service to some Vaishnavas. When these Vaishnavas were resting during the Chaturmasya period, the boy Narada took the opportunity to engage in their service. The Chaturmasya period, that's a 4-month period where the preachers, they take rest. It's the rainy season, so they stay in one place and they hear and chant. So while that was happening, these great devotees were taking rest during Chaturmasya. Narada Muni, before he became Narada Muni, he was serving them. The boy Narada took the opportunity to engage in their service. Taking compassion upon the boy, the Vaishnavas offered him the remnants of their food. By serving these Vaishnavas and obeying their orders, the boy became the object of their sympathy, and by this Vaishnav's unknown mercy, he gradually became a pure devotee. In the next life, he was Narada Muni, the most exalted of Vaishnavas and the most important guru and acharya of Vaishnavas. Following in the footsteps of Narada Muni, this Krishna conscious movement is rendering service to humanity by giving everyone a chance to come in contact with Krishna. If one is fortunate, he becomes intimately related with this movement. Then by the grace of Krishna, one's life becomes successful. I'm reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19, 151, purport. I'm telling you, Abhinanda, Prabhu. If you're wondering where on earth am I reading from. If one is fortunate, he becomes immediately related with this movement. Then by the grace of Krishna, one's life becomes successful. Everyone has dormant Krishna bhakti, love for Krishna, and in the association of good devotees, that love is revealed. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22, 107, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saddhika Banoy. Dormant devotional service to Krishna is within everyone. Simply by associating with devotees, hearing their good instructions, and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one awakens his dormant love for Krishna. In this way, one acquires the seed of devotional service. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij. And then the instructions go on. So this is Rupa Goswami. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Rupa Goswami. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continues to instruct Rupa Goswami, he said that there's that seed within one's heart of Krishna Bhakti, and one has to water it, just as an ordinary gardener waters a seed. And from watering that seed, and what is the watering process? It's hearing and chanting about Krishna. And from watering of that seed, plant will grow, and it will fructify, and they'll produce fruit. And those fruit will be the fruit of love of Krishna, fruit of love of God. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining. And all of this begins and is sustained and ultimately achieved by the association of devotees. This is what's being stated here, that by the mercy of Krishna one gets a guru, and Krishna and the guru work together to deliver the soul. And also gurus, there's many gurus. So as in the case of Srila Narada Muni, before he became Narada Muni, he was a simple boy, son of a maidservant, which means she was also super simple and not a very prestigious position. But all he did was he simply served these, Prabhupada calls them Bhaktivedantas. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, he calls them Bhaktivedantas. These great pure devotees. So he would do simple things. I'm sure he would wash their clothes. He would serve them prasad. He would take their remnants. He would hear their instructions. And he would just serve them in a humble way. And from that service and from their good wishes and prayers, he became Narada Muni in his next life. And Narada Muni is, as Prabhupada mentions here, the most important guru and acharya of the Vaishnavas. I mean, Narada Muni is in every canto of the Bhagavatam, somehow or other. No one else is in every canto. He is, though. So he's a traveling preacher and ecstatic devotee, acharya. So all this happened just from his simple service to these great devotees. And that's what the Bhagavatam says. It says, Shushu Sho Shradadana Sevya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirtanat Shevanat. By serving the great devotees who are free from vice, the pure devotees, one attains a taste, one attains a higher taste or pleasure in hearing and chanting about Krishna. So in other words, they develop their love for Krishna by serving great devotees. So this is what Vaishnavas do. They actually pray for the good of others, or they pray for so others can be helped. They pray to Krishna. And Krishna, hearing those prayers, he actually helps those individuals who are prayed for. And Prabhupada, even with himself, I mean, he was sick, and what did Prabhupada say? All of you do what? All of you chant Hare Krishna, you pray for me. That's what Prabhupada said. And then devotees would say, oh Prabhupada, but who are we? We're just some neophytes, and why is Krishna going to listen to us? And Prabhupada said, well, you're all Vaishnavas, Krishna will listen to you. So Prabhupada said, pray for me, for my well-being of my body. And Krishna will hear and reciprocate. So it is very easy for, and especially nowadays, it is very easy for people to be critical or to criticize. So, you know, people to criticize, oh, why aren't there any books being distributed here at the temple, right? Didn't Prabhupada set up the society to distribute books? Like, what of all you doing, right? You're all just kind of, you know, here at the temple, and why don't you get out on the streets? Or why aren't there so many devotees here in the temple, right? What's wrong with you guys? Get it together. It means your preaching has no results. It means you're not even. What's the value of your preaching? You know, step it up, right? So you could criticize, and so on and so on. And for the most part, as conditioned souls, we're very quick to criticize others, even if we're wrong, but we think we're right. Just like Santosh, you know, Santosh isn't here, right? He's not in the Bhagavatam class. I mean, he hardly attends Bhagavatam classes. And that's his fault. That's his issue. That's his difficulty he's undergoing right now. And everybody could be very quick to criticize him. Oh, what is he, you know, just sleeping or whatever the heck he's doing. You know, where is he? And you get very critical of this person, right? Or he's so angry about the Sunday feast, right? I would be angry too, because I was there yesterday. I cooked their grung potatoes, and I understand exactly why he's angry. I mean, some of it's his fault, but it's his conditioning. But anyways, aside from that, but well, I mean, well, it's disorganized, but largely that's due to him. But aside from him, he has a certain personality. Like me, I like talking with people. I actually like it. I like dealing with people. I like talking with people. He doesn't like talking with people. Why? What's the proof? He hardly talks to anybody. So when people go into there, you know, Santosh Mataji and all these different personalities, right? They go in and they ask him questions. Hello, how are you? And what should I do? And how about we do this? And whatever. You know, they're trying to yuck it up with him, but he doesn't. That's not his personality. He doesn't want to do that. So he just wants to be in silence, and he wants to cook his preps. Simple as that. So I realized that. That's one of the reasons. And then I was there, and I was the guy who was talking with everybody. So that kind of helped. And aside from that, whatever, but that's a whole other issue. But the point is that we could be very quick to criticize him. Oh, he's not here in the Bhagavatam class. But we have to ask ourselves, okay, but are we quick to pray for him? Maybe not. Who's praying for him? I don't know. Maybe no one in this temple. Is anyone asking Radha Giridhari, oh, please help Santosh, please help him get up, or whatever? Maybe not. So, instead of being quick to criticize, we should be quick to pray. Just like in LA, I mean, they have LA Temple. You know, people, they could go up and say, they could say, oh, whatever, they could be critical about so many things. But what are they actually doing? So if you bring that aspect of prayer into it, then that means you're actually being intelligent. You are following the Krishna conscious process, or else it's just it's a mundane thing. I mean, it becomes mundane. For example, the devotees up in LA, Sovas, Prabhu, and others, they've been praying for years. Oh, please bring Sankirtan devotees. Please bring Sankirtan devotees. And many devotees are praying up there. Let books go out. Let books go out. So it's not that they just go up there and say, hey, you know, we're only distributing 5,000 books a month. We should actually be distributing 10,000. And they start becoming very critical. But they actually pray. Oh, Krishna, please send, please send, please send. So there's a difference. So that's what we have to learn how to do, that instead of being super critical all the time about everything and everyone, okay, fine, there's problems, you know, that's obvious. But we should also become quick to pray instead of quick to criticize. Because ultimately, it's not all about the Guru. Ultimately, it's about Krishna and the Guru and the Vaishnavas. They're all together. We cannot separate them. And if we try to separate them, then that means it's like half-hand logic. You know half-hand logic, Jamal? You know that? You never heard about that? Half-hand logic. Half-hand logic is a very simple idea. So half-hand logic is there was once a farmer. And he had a nice chicken. Will produce wonderful eggs. I mean, of course, we're not into eggs, but whatever. But he was. So his idea was that, hey, I'm not going to feed the chicken. I just want the eggs. So what did he do? Half hen. That's a clue. He cut the chicken and he cut the neck of the chicken. Why? Because he just wanted the eggs. But then what happened? Does he get the eggs? No, right? Because the chicken's dead. So half-hand logic, we're trying to get one aspect of a particular thing, but we're neglecting another aspect. That doesn't work. So similarly, we can't just get the mercy of Guru. We can't just focus wholly and solely on the Guru, but we focus on Krishna, the Guru, and the Vaishnavas, because they're all together. They're all together. They're intimately related. So that's a very important thing to always keep in mind for devotees, for us, not trying to separate them. So yeah, I'm losing my train of thought here, but I want to say something more about the spiritual master. Yeah, so for those of us who accepted a spiritual master, and maybe obviously some of us haven't, but there's Srila Prabhupada, until we accept a spiritual master, a Diksha spiritual master, we accept Prabhupada's Shiksha spiritual master. The spiritual master we should put our faith in as them being more experienced, as them knowing what to do and what not to do in relation to our lives. And we may not be able to understand, what they're trying to communicate to us, or their instructions, clearly. But that doesn't mean we should neglect them. So you could say one aspect of foolishness is to not understand. That means there's some ignorance within us. We can't understand. But another aspect of foolishness is to say, oh, hey, well, I can't understand, so now I'm just going to completely reject them. I'm going to completely reject the order of my spiritual master because I can't understand them. Even if we don't understand them, we should have so much faith that we actually follow. And then some people say, hey, well, that sounds pretty blind. Well, we are blindly following so many things. We're blindly following our senses and our mind all over the universe, as this verse is saying, Brahmanda Brahmati Kon Bhagavan Jeev. Due to sense gratification, following our senses like crazy people, we are going all over the universe. So Srila Prabhupada would even go as far to say that I blindly follow my spiritual master. His instructions. Whatever he says, I do. And therefore I'm successful. That's what Prabhupada said. He said, I have no other qualification. All I did is I simply tried to execute the orders of my spiritual master. Prabhupada didn't say, oh, I was a very scholarly person, I'm a very devotional person, I'm this, I'm that. No. He said, my only qualification is I tried to follow the orders. And he even said blindly. So how many of us are willing to do that? I mean, how many devotees are willing to do that, just blindly follow? I mean, that's what Prabhupada said about his American and European disciples. He said, I have to spend gallons of blood. I have to spend gallons of blood just to convince one devotee about Krishna consciousness. And he specifically said about Americans and Europeans. So you know, question after question after question. And how many hours do you got to spend with someone before they become fired up and convinced that, hey, I should surrender my life to Krishna? Right? So many doubts. So if there's doubts within us, okay, fine. But we may be in that category that, you know, someone needs to spend gallons of blood on us. Okay, fine. What to do? But here the process is being given that if we want to be successful, there's a very simple formula, and that is the formula that Narada Muni displayed in his life, that humble service. And aside from that, this is one of the main aspects of real life, or human life, or culture life. That one spends time as a brahmachari. That's real human life. Not one is trained to be like a wild animal. Just whatever urges the senses have, they just go for it. You know? But one is trained how to control their senses. Mind control, sense control. I think he's going to get you some prasadam. I don't know if he told you that, but... So those of us who have entered the brahmacharya ashram, it is a great opportunity to become trained in mind control, sense control, and spiritual knowledge. And as Srila Prabhupada would point out many times, is that, okay, the best is just to remain a brahmachari. That's the best. That's what Prabhupada said. Because it awards one the opportunity, the time, to engage fully, directly in Krishna's service. Radha Giridhari service. We have no other business. Preaching, deity worship, making prasad, distributing books. There's no other business. Whereas if one leaves the brahmacharya ashram, then there's many other types of business. And if you don't believe me, then you could just ask a householder, and they'll tell you in great detail how many things they have to do just to simply maintain themselves. Which, I'm not saying that a brahmachari or householders, we already discussed this previous days, that doesn't necessarily mean that brahmachari is more advanced, necessarily. But it does award a wonderful opportunity, the brahmachari ashram. So therefore Prabhupada says the best, simple. And even in relation to sannyas, I mean, sannyasis also have to deal with a lot of stuff. As Bajranayan Swami says, my life, my wife, my strife, people coming up, oh Maharaj, my life, and Maharaj, my wife, and Maharaj, my strife. And all the respect and this and that, and whereas brahmachari is just very simple. It's just simple life. But of course, sannyas is there to preach, and so yeah, Prabhupada would say best is to stay brahmachari. Now, if one doesn't, okay, fine. A lot of people don't. That's another thing. But aside from that, Srila Prabhupada said they should try to stay as long as possible. As long as possible. Of course, within reason and in a healthy way. It's not that one, mind is freaking out and they're losing it day after day mentally. But stay as long as possible in a healthy manner. Why? Because from that training, that will give us the foundation in which to sustain our Krishna consciousness throughout our lifetime. And you see devotees who spent time in the brahmachari ashram, who are now householders, and you can see they're and a lot of them who are maintaining their Krishna consciousness, they're actually, from that training, that gave them a lot of power to move on. Because you can't forget the training; it's too intense to forget. So we should try to, those brahmacharis should either stay as long as possible or stay completely. That's what Srila Prabhupada advised. And in this way, by gradually becoming trained in mind control, sense control, and aside from that, actually watering the seed of devotion, the Krishna bhakti seed, then gradually that fruit will fructify. There'll be a nice fruit of love of Godhead. And one will become free from the cycle of birth and death. And this all happens, as Prabhupada says, there's no possibility of one's liberation from the cycle of birth and death in different species of life. And what is that depending on? It said, without the opportunity to associate with the bona fide spiritual master. So, that's our chance, and that is the general population. That's their chance as well, to associate with the bona fide spiritual master. That's their chance of how to get out of the miserable cycle of birth and death. So we should try to become serious about that. I mean, we should try to become serious about associating with the gurus and the sadhus, and we should try to become serious about ourselves becoming gurus and sadhus, and bringing people to Krishna. Or else, what's the point of our life? I mean, the life is, what's the value of it? If we don't get serious about associating with devotees, associating with our guru, serving our guru, if we don't get serious about being sadhus, being gurus, then life is just an ordinary, mundane life. It's a life wasted. It's a life of a miser, actually. But we're not supposed to be misers. We're supposed to be Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas means merciful, giving. So I'll stop there. Does anyone have any questions or comments about anything? Yes. Yep. The importance of it. Well, the spiritual master and also senior devotees who are advanced devotees, they it's not that they want to be served, they actually don't want to be served, but what they do is they accept that role of a guru, pretty much of a guru, and they accept service from others. And why is that? Because in the material world we all have a false ego, and false ego means pride. So they accept that position so that those of us who are in, you could say, junior position, we serve them, and that actually develops our humility. I mean, you're serving somebody. I mean, it from a materialist perspective, it's absolutely humiliating. I mean, you're cooking for somebody, your guru. You are serving them prasad. You're not eating until they're done eating. You do their laundry and hang it up on the line. You iron their clothes. You clean their room. You clean their bathroom. It's on the material platform absolutely humiliating. I mean, and if one has a big ego, they actually can't do it. It's just too much. And Prabhupada, he would have devotees do that. They would clean his room, they would clean his bathroom, they would cook for him, they would serve him prasad. They wouldn't eat until he was done eating, a lot of the times. They would bow down to him, offer prayers to him. So all this is there to humble the soul, to humble the individual out. And what happens is that there's the guru, and then there's the disciple, and then through the sincere service of the disciple towards the guru, the disciple becomes humble. And then once the disciple becomes humble enough, then he becomes guru. Because the guru has to be humble, or else he's not a guru. He's just a guru in name. So the main qualification of a Vaishnava or of a guru is that humility. And that's what Chaitanya Charitamrita says. That's what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says. He says, that verse, Trinadapi Sune Chena, one should be as humble as a blade of grass, tall and as a tree, offer all respects to others, expect none in return. And in such a state one could chant constantly. And he says about the verse, you should string it around your neck. So that means it's super important, the qualities. So the disciple serves the guru, becomes humble, then eventually he becomes a guru. And he could accept service because he's humble. Previously, he couldn't accept service, though, because he's not humble, he's proud. So until he becomes humble, he shouldn't accept service. And then when he comes guru, then yeah, he's humble, he's qualified, and then he could accept service and train disciples. And that's Krishna's system. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevya. Right, you approach the self-realized souls, you inquire from them, you offer service, and and they could impart knowledge because they've seen the truth. So the importance of serving advanced devotees, serving senior devotees, is it helps us develop that humility, which without that humility, love of God actually doesn't take place. It can't take place. So that's the importance of it, is that it develops that humility in which that could help us develop love for Krishna. I mean, that's what Prabhupada said the formula is. Devotees, some of the Gaudimat sannyasis, probably Sridhar Swami and others, I'm not sure exactly who, but they went to Srila Prabhupada in Allahabad when Prabhupada was working at the pharmaceutical business. He was a pharmacist, and then they asked Prabhupada in a joking way, because Prabhupada was dealing with a lot of medicine and formulas, and Prabhupada actually he made his own toothpaste, the powdered toothpaste, and he made all types of stuff, Prabhupada. So he knew about formulas. And this is in Mula Prakriti Mataji's book. What is it? Our Srila Prabhupada? A Friend to All, which is accounts of Srila Prabhupada from devotees who knew him before he came to America. So devotees said that Gaudimat sannyasis, his godbrothers, they went there and they said, Abai, they probably called him Babu or whatever. Abai Babu, they said, He's a householder. They said, so what is the formula for love of God? So right there in the pharmaceutical warehouse or whatever. Prabhu said, oh, the formula for love of God, I'll tell you. It is Trinadapi, Sunuchena, Toradapi, Suhishnana, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. It's that humility, the tolerance, respect for everyone, not expecting a return. We could chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. He said that's the formula. So that's what I'm saying. So that's the importance of serving Vaishnavas, serving people, humble service, advanced Vaishnavas, junior Vaishnavas, pure Vaishnavas, serving them in whatever ways we can, is that it develops that humility. And from there we could develop that love for Krishna more. So, yes. Was that in the Bhagavatam? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's like nothing in this in the philosophy, although it may seem like that sometimes. There's like absolute statements. In other words, not everything's black and white. Not everything's the same for everyone. But of course there's general principles in which the philosophy outlines, in which we deal with, and which we accept. But in general the process is that one has to accept a bona fide spiritual master, and they have to be accepted into the disciplic succession. That is the general process, and that is the advised process to do, or else ultimately the mantra they're chanting doesn't produce the fruit of love of Godhead. They have to get it in the line, because we should think about this, because it's actually a very amazing point if we really think about it. So you have Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have our whole disciplic succession, and the Hare Krishna mantras coming down. And what to speak of recently, you got Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has the six Goswamis. The six Goswamis initiate devotees, or whatever, however you want to say it, disciples, and then on and on and on and on and on like that. So what's happening is the Hare Krishna mantra is coming down in this disciplic succession. And you see Prabhupada, and he's in the disciplic succession, and he gave so many of his disciples the Hare Krishna mantra, right? And those devotees they've given it to us officially. They said, okay, I accept you as a disciple, and here's the Hare Krishna mantra. Please chant it, Hare Bol. So that has power, because the gift is being given through that disciplic succession. So generally that is the process. I mean, there's rare cases, like in the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's dancing through Navadvip or South India, and people would just see him, and they go into ecstasy, and they become pure devotees of Krishna. So where's the initiation process? Where's them accepting him as the guru? It's just they saw Lord Chaitanya, they just they got the goal right there. So, but Prabhupada would say that in terms of, he gives the example in the Nectar of Devotion about what is it? A diploma. He said, what is it? He says generally you have to go through school to get an honorary degree. You have to go through school. You have to, But there are rare occasions where someone doesn't go through school, but then it's given to them, right? It's given to them, this honorary degree, without the whole going to college and all that. But it's not that one should just wait around for that type of. In other words, it's a special circumstance. Yes. You might have. Come on, it's possible. Okay. I might have been spacing out when I was speaking. Yeah. Well, I mean, a rush kind of, that word rush kind of sounds like a passionate, not a very thoughtful. So we don't want to find a guru in a passionate, lacking the quality of being thoughtful way. We want to find a guru in the right way. Means in a sattvic mode of goodness way, and being very thoughtful, because we just don't want to, oh hey, well, the first guru I see, it's kind of, okay, here, hey Guru Maharaj, please accept me, and you're my eternal guru. But we should let Krishna work things out, and yeah, as we were reading today, Krishna will arrange that for sincere Bhagavan Jiva, a sincere soul. Krishna will arrange the meeting of a guru. But we should pray also. So we should pray, and then Krishna will arrange. But Prabhupada had this devotee, what is it? P.L. Sethi. He was a great devotee in Bombay. And as far as I understand, he wasn't initiated by Srila Prabhupada. But Prabhupada really loved him, and he made many comments about P.L. Sethi and his devotion, and him actually even going back to Godhead, because he did so many wonderful things. He was helping to build the Juhu temple and the rooms, and then Prabhupada told him, oh, by building these rooms, you are securing your own place in Vaikuntha, your own room in Vaikuntha. Anyways, there's so many statements Prabhupada said to him. But, and he passed away recently, I think a few years ago. So the book's going to be coming out soon. My Guru Maharaj is writing away with the Juhu book, so it's going to come out soon. Maybe a year and a half, 2 years, but that'll go by quick, and then that book will be there, the whole story, which Prabhupada actually ordered someone should write about. Because after, is a whole history, big fight, how to get the Juhu, Prabhupada and Mr. Nair. So then after Prabhupada won the fight, Prabhupada said, that was a great fight. And then he said, someone should write a book about it. So my Guru Maharaj was there from the beginning, and so he's taken that service. So we'll get to hear about the glory. We'll get to read about the glories of P.L. Sethi in the book. What's the difference? Like a Diksha spiritual master or not, huh? What's the difference? Well, like Ryan's saying, you can make advancement, that's true. But the system, but nowadays, I mean, Srila Prabhupada has set up the system of initiation, and with the whole ceremony and everything, and that's actually an important aspect that we go through, this whole ceremony and the guru, and in having a living person, like Srila Prabhupada said, you should have a living guru. Why? So he could pull your ear. So this whole process of having a guru, Diksha guru, becoming initiated, having the whole ceremony, it's actually important. And the example that I was thinking of is that Prabhupada was giving sannyas to a young man in Vrindavan, and then Prabhupada told the devotees, you should decorate it very nicely, and we should have a big ceremony. And then devotees said, oh, why, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, well, because we want him to understand that something is going on. In other words, that this is a serious thing. So nowadays, people need that. They need a person to answer to. They need a ceremony to commit to. This helps people. This helps people keep their commitments. Or else it's like, hey, I follow the regulative principles, and I chant 16 rounds, but you're not really you're doing it for yourself, true, and you're doing it for Prabhupada, true, but you're not doing it for somebody, here, you could say, on this planet, and that could kind of make us waver a little bit. In other words, it's like, hey, well, okay, if I break a regulatory principle, what's the big difficulty? I mean, you know, I'm connected with Prabhupada, but I mean, if I was connected to a guru, then he'll suffer. But I'm not really initiated by a guru, so hey, you know, I'm gonna go out and have a few drinks. You know. It's not that anybody's gonna suffer. I'm just gonna suffer, but no one else, because the philosophy is that. Interesting enough, actually, it's actually quite scary. But Prabhupada said that once you become a disciple of a guru, then whatever you do is going to affect the guru. So if you do sinful activities, it's going to affect the guru. And Prabhupada said that. He said that sometimes gurus, they have health issues because of their disciples committing sinful activities. So that puts some pressure on us that, oh my God, you know, I don't want him to suffer. I mean, even then, we have a hard time checking ourselves from sinful activity. But it may help us. And that's what Prabhupada even said in his life. I mean, he said that I'm sick right now because 80% of my, Prabhupada said, 80% of my leaders are not following the principles. Of course, this was many years ago. So, yeah, so it affects the guru. So if we take initiation from the guru, then we'll have more of impetus. Hey, I love my guru. I have affection for my guru. I serve my guru. He's a wonderful person. I don't want to affect him negatively. I want to help him. So that's there. So what I'm saying is that it's actually good for the student, the disciple, the young man or woman or old man or woman, whatever, to take initiation for themselves, actually. But in many cases, I mean, in many cases, this whole initiation process and all that, I mean, did Arjuna, you know, get initiated by Krishna? Right? Was there a whole yajna and fire ceremony and all these different things and name changing? I mean, Krishna imparted the instructions, and Arjuna got it, and he acted on them. But as time develops, you know, so many things have to be done in order for people to get the right idea. And because it's set up from Prabhupada, then we accept it like that. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had this whole initiation ceremonies and accepting disciples and all that. So that's the process. So we shouldn't try to go around the process and think, hey, I could go back to God without being initiated. Okay, but there's a process. So we should try to follow that process. Yes.
Also, I was thinking that taking formal initiation vow and looking forward to the parampara.
Yeah.
That keeps the parampara intact. And if we did away with the whole diksha process and everything, which is kind of like shishya, shiksha, whatever you feel like it, and then the whole thing would be kind of like watered down and become indistinct. And also, Krishna wants us to make a commitment to the process and really please Krishna when we make that commitment.
Yeah, it's like a contract too. You know? So it's like Prabhupada, he pushed his disciples. That's what he did, actually. If you closely analyze Srila Prabhupada's life, he was severely pushing his disciples to do this, do that, do so many things. I mean, you read about how Prabhupada pushed Surabhi to build that Krishna Balarama temple. I mean, Prabhupada was on his case, like big time. It was like, oh my God, you know, he was just... So Prabhupada pushed his disciples. And then Prabhupada disciples, gurus or senior devotees, whatever, they're pushing the next generation. Hey, do that, you know. It's all for Krishna in a healthy way, but pushing their disciples. And then it goes on like that, and that's the whole parampara. We have to, you know, encourage, push, whatever you want to say. Because why? Because we have to push the Krishna conscious movement. It doesn't just happen automatically, right? We have to push it. So it's the same with our conscious. It doesn't just happen automatically. Oh, Krishna conscious. No, we have to push, right? Push the modes and push this and just go with that. So. All right, Jai. So I'm glad I got that off my chest. All right, Grantaraj srimadbhagavatam ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. So Dharma Saitya Prabhu is going to give class tomorrow. So.